Well, I certainly believe people turned out to the polls in droves to support and to embrace Donald Trump. More so, I believe people turned out to the polls to reject absurdity. And that is what the Democratic Party has become, entirely and thoroughly absurd. They have become a cult that does not believe in freedom. They don't believe in free speech. They don't believe in school choice. They don't believe in parental rights or the safeguarding of children. They certainly don't believe in free thought. They do not believe in freedom unless it's the freedom to kill a developing baby in the womb or to chemically or surgically castrate children. And they've become totally out of touch with reality. Actually, not even just out of touch with reality, they have become anti-reality.
It appears Riley Gaines' day has come to meet this guy.
A story that I have been trying to fit into our strange docket because I think that this investigation that you did for us is the thing that has been lurking underneath the surface of like the most explosive topic in sports and politics for, 4 years, 4 quite consequential years at the very least. The larger argument that platform, that literal platform, became politically was even more dire, right? I mean, the claim that Riley Gaines goes on to make, that this president goes on to make, is that female athletes are not only losing to the Leah Thomases of the world, the trans athlete, they're being victimized.
It's been incredibly effective as far as changing policy. There are, last time I checked, 29 states that have gone ahead and banned trans women and trans girls from women's athletics. That's huge. That's obviously more than half the country after this executive order.
Investigative sports journalist Pablo Torre. In his latest piece, he teams up with Mother Jones and Madison Pauley to examine this person.
I knew it would take a little while from where we were initially, but just really, number one, kind of establish the culture many years ago, trying to do the right things the right way, improve the kids that we had on the team.
Gaines' swimming coach at the University of Kentucky, Lars Jorgensen.
I'm thrilled with the passage of H.R. 28, the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act, but truthfully, I'm mad. I'm mad that this is something we have to do. I'm mad that we as women have to beg for equal rights. I'm mad that we have to beg for privacy in areas of undressing, and I'm mad that we have to beg for safety on the court or on the field or walking in the streets at night for that matter. Your daughters are a waste of time to all House Democrats except the 2 who voted in favor of the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act.
Gaines would say stuff like this over and over and over again. Let's remember that in Gaines' book, she characterized Coach Lars Jorgensen as one of her best friends. In 2019, when Gaines was a sophomore, assistant coach Lawrence Chip Klein, who worked under Jorgensen, would be investigated by the Office of Institutional Equity and Equal Opportunity. Klein allegedly touched a swimmer's leg under her towel, forced a swimmer to give him a hug before entering a room, spouted sexual comments about swimmers, and compared their bodies to meat. Coach Jorgensen would be suspended for 6 days because he didn't make anyone aware of his knowledge as it pertains to Coach Klein's conduct. Now, Pablo Torre would simply ask, why would this not be mentioned in her own book? Swimmers say Jorgensen mocked teammates' weight and pressured them to lower their body fat percentage to the extreme. Lars is the biggest reason that an alarming number of the women's swim team suffer from eating disorders, said a former swimmer. They wrote that to Kentucky officials. That also, of course, would not be mentioned. From The Athletic, Jorgensen was sued by 2 former swimmers on Kentucky's team that were hired as assistant coaches, alleging he R-worded them following a team Christmas party and masturbated in their presence. Another claim, he sent his erect privates in a text and videos of him pleasing himself along with offensive sexual questions, sexually explicit comments about their bodies, and many other awful things. Those forcible R words came during Gaines' time as a member of Kentucky's swim team. One compliance officer said, "We were just getting tons of complaints from athletes," per The Athletic, via a public records request. Jorgensen, meanwhile, denies any wrongdoing.
The swimmers who filed the lawsuit say that the university had discouraged them from reporting their claims.
Right. What do we prioritize and who are we protecting when it comes to the question of what women's sports should be concerned about?
It's a shifting of the perspective from what you're hearing on Fox News. One of the assistant coaches who filed the lawsuit against Lars Jorgensen has since transitioned, female to male. And the lawsuit uses she, her pronouns to talk about the time period around the alleged assaults, which is why we're doing that too. But when the case was first filed, Jorgensen's lawyer at the time brought Riley into it. He said that the allegations had been fabricated to punish Coach Lars for supporting Riley Gaines. And that lawyer, Greg Anderson, told the Lexington Herald Leader, quote, "This all has to do with NCAA woke philosophy."
In October of 2025, the Lexington Herald Leader would report that Jorgensen was banned from coaching by Safe Sport, which is a nonprofit organization established by Congress to protect athletes who compete in Olympic sports. This was a body that was created by federal law in 2017 in the wake of former USA Gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar. Nassar is currently serving 175 years in prison.
I just cannot help but remember that this is the coach that Riley Gaines called one of her best friends.
One of my best friends.
In her best-selling memoir that came out in May of 2024.
Gaines would put out a carefully worded tweet, which read in part, "Lars was someone I trusted, loved, and respected. I would have gone to bat for him and defended him until the end. I feel entirely blindsided and betrayed." To be extra clear here, I never saw or heard any of these claims taking place, but it is not difficult to say I vehemently condemn all violence, especially sexual violence against women. Here's the issue.
I just can't help but just see her stance that she's alluding to there as her larger stance, as if the two things that we've now covered here, the experience she had with Leah Thomas and the revelations she says she has now learned in the spring of 2024 about one of her best friends, Coach Lars, who is now this alleged sexual predator, that this all can fit together quite neatly. And it's all been consistent this whole time, even though when it comes to the number of words she's devoted to one versus the other, that actually is a race that's not even close.
Pauly and Toure would note that Gaines put out one tweet, a single tweet. This pro-woman former athlete who views herself as a pioneer in this space and a conservative activist for women everywhere. She is in the space of protecting women. All of this happens. She puts out one tweet. Until 2 months ago when Pablo Torre's team uncovered this.
And I just felt this, almost like this emptiness, right? There wasn't a lot of satisfaction in doing what I did. I had great friends. I had a fantastic coach.
Pauly, interviewing Gaines's former teammate, Trinity Ward, would say this.
I don't think that what Riley Gaines does deserves to be called advocacy. When I wear my UK swimming gear, I've had 3 times where somebody's approached me and asked me about Riley Gaines. And I've said, well, do you know about Lars Jorgensen?
And the answer is always no. And she says, quote, "It's hard for me to care about Riley Gaines tying for 5th when my swim coach is accused of raping my teammates." And people shut up pretty quickly after that.
Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYT Sports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.